From architecture to painting and sculpture, literature to live music and theater. Radio 111 presents Bonnie G and Brian Mendoza with The Desert Scene, your connection to culture and entertainment in the desert cities. Here's Bonnie and Brian.
And welcome to The Desert Scene. I'm here with my Bonnie G and here with my producer, Brian Mendoza. And we're very happy to welcome Julie Garnye to the show. She's she's part of this wonderful series at CV Rep, Cabaret Series on Thursdays. So she'll be doing a show Thursday, August 25th. Hi, Julie. How are you?
Hi, Bonnie. So nice to meet you. Hi.
You too. So I'm looking at some bio stuff here, but let's start at the beginning. Where are you from originally, and did you start singing as a child, and did you always know that this was going to be your career?
I'm originally from Northern California, actually a very small little village called Los Altos, just south of San Francisco.
Okay.
And I basically was singing before I was talking. Okay. I was watching shows like the Donnie and Marie show and, Lawrence Welk, just anything with music on it just absolutely caught my attention. And I really started singing when I was about, 2 or 3, I think my parents said that I kind of just couldn't help myself. Uh-huh. But really the first sort of taste of like, I should sing in public, it was in the first grade. We were doing an Easter pageant at my school, and they needed a lead character, a female, and they asked me to sing the main song, and that was sort of a taste of it, sort of how I got bitten by the bug, as they say.
Now, was your family supportive of you doing this as a career?
It was a mixed bag.
Yeah.
It's always scary, I think, for parents.
Yeah.
Because, it's not as lucrative sometimes or as guaranteed as something like having a degree to be a doctor or a lawyer. You pass that bar exam and you're going to work, right? But
exactly. With
something like this, you just never know. So, yeah, but, they've seen that I now have made a living as a singer, actor, in the entertainment field. I do a bunch of different things. So they've now realized that I'm not myopic when it comes to entertainment because, you can't be. I mean, you look at everyone in the entertainment business and they're producing and writing and doing so many other things than just the one thing we think that they are doing.
Exactly. And I'm looking at, because I'm like you, I'm in a smaller pond here, but I'm a singer, actress, radio host, voiceover artist, I coach voiceover students, so I totally get that. I think that's the way to go to keep your sanity, I think. So tell us about your first adult professional when you kind of really took off in this business.
I always said there were two. The first one was actually when I was still in college, and I auditioned for a summer stock program called PCPA Theater Fest.
Okay.
I went to college at Santa Clara University up in Northern California. They've got a great theater and music and dance program up there. So I was in school, and they came to the school and auditioned our class, and I got picked to be part of the summer stock program. So I actually had to leave school a few weeks early to start rehearsals.
Yeah.
And I was considered a guest artist, and then I had to take a couple days off of rehearsal and come back so that I could graduate with my class and walk and get my degree, and then went straight back to Santa Maria and continued rehearsing. And I was there for about 4 months doing shows throughout almost the rest of the year. So it was wonderful. And then I guess my second one would be sort of the big one. In 2001, I booked the fifth national tour of Cats.
Wow.
And got to do Cats, and that was really, really special because it had just closed on Broadway. We were literally the only company in the United States doing the show with the original choreography and the original costumes, and it was very, very special. We were the last group to do it in that way.
And you got to play Grisabella, I see, in that, yes?
I was Jenny Any Dots first, and I was the Grisabella first cover, but I got to go on a lot. So, once you get to go on as much as I got to go on, you basically say you got to play that part too. So, yeah.
So tell me about, but you also did some stuff in New York. So was there a time when you moved to New York?
Yeah, right after Cats. I moved there right after Cats. I actually got a phone call. It was when I was on Cats, I got injured. I hurt my wrist, but I didn't want to leave the show to get surgery because it would mean 6 months in the cast. So I waited until I was done with my contract, and then I went and had the surgery. And I spent about 6 months living in New Orleans, and just eating great food and doing my physical therapy and seeing fun theater, and it was great. I mean, New Orleans is an amazing town, and a great place to rehab if anyone needs to do that somewhere else. New Orleans is fantastic. So I was there, and I got a phone call from Seth Rudetsky, who I had met while I was rehearsing Cats in New York. And for those of you who don't know, he's a big Broadway personality and music director in New York for Broadway shows. And he called me and he said, "Hey, I'm working on this demo for a new musical. Would you come and record it for me? One of the characters." And I was like, "Oh yeah, sure." So I thought that might be the best opportunity for me to move. So packed up a van, drove to New York, and a couple of days later, I was in the recording studio with Seth and a bunch of Broadway stars that I never thought I'd get to meet if I didn't move to New York. So I was very excited to be there. And then, lo and behold, Seth started using me for a bunch of other things. I did I guess the biggest one that I worked on with him was he was doing a big concert on Broadway of the musical Hair. And it was a bunch of huge Broadway stars and television stars too. In fact, RuPaul was in it. Like it was just a bunch of people in it. Yeah. And I was in the ensemble. I was in the chorus. And the day of the show, we all went out and grabbed a bite to eat. And before the show, we went to go get dinner. And when we came back, Seth was sort of standing by the doors, and he's like, "I need to talk to you." And I was like, "What's going on?" And he said, one of our actresses, Idina Menzel, who won the Tony Award for playing the lead in Wicked and is the voice of Elsa now, but she wasn't the voice of Elsa back then. She had just won the Tony Award, but she was unable to come to and sing at the concert. And he said, "I need you to learn her song and do her song," which was the big song of the night. Yeah. So, and I was an absolute unknown. I'd only been in New York for a year. Nobody knew me. And I didn't even have an agent. I mean, I was a nobody. So I ran backstage and someone was doing my hair and makeup. But, it's that sort of that scene from that movie where like Seth is standing there plunking out the notes and I'm learning it. And I never had an orchestra rehearsal. Oh my gosh. And it was like, okay, let's see how this goes down. There's like people paying thousands of dollars for this benefit concert. And, hopefully it works out. And it really did. It worked out great. I got up there and I did my thing, and I got an agent a few days later. Excellent. Broadway World, which is a big publication for our business, they wrote a feature story on me and stepping in and saving the day kind of a thing. And wow. So it was sort of the launch of my career in New York because I kind of stepped in and did that. I'm going to switch. So you also co-hosted some shows on Sirius Radio. So tell us a little bit about that. Oh, that was actually with my friend Scott Nevins, who is now living in Palm Springs and running for District 1. He's okay. And we were roommates in New York. Scott and I were roommates. He is an amazing guy, and he would host a lot of benefits and charitable events. And he's very philanthropic and very generous person. And he would oftentimes fill in for people at Sirius Satellite Radio, and he would ask me to come and be his co-host. So we would co-host shows together and interview people on the radio, and loved it. I mean, gosh, I love what you do. It's great fun. I think it's great fun. Yeah. It's I'd do it in a heartbeat if someone offered. again. I just love it.
Yeah.
So, yeah, Scott and I had a really, really good time doing those shows. And we've, Scott and I have co-hosted a few things together. He's a wonderful person.
So tell us about the show on the 25th, An Evening with Julie Garnye. How did you choose the songs? How did you put your show together?
I kind of put it together based on a show that I was doing right before I left for the national tour of Come From Away, which then turned into the pandemic. I was on tour with Come From Away for a year, and then right after that, the pandemic happened. And right before that, I was doing a series of shows called Unstoppable. And basically, it was just about me trying to encourage and find my unstoppability as a woman, as a performer, as an artist. I wanted to break free and break out. And so I started doing these solo concerts, and this show is based on that show with some changes. So at the time when I was asked to do this series, I wasn't quite sure what show I was going to do. So I'm basing it on Unstoppable, but I am pulling out some old songs and adding some new ones and freshening it up a little bit. And it's really about celebrating whoever you are and just pushing forward and just, people often call me very passionate and very persistent. And I think those are the traits that kind of, no matter what your level of talent, I think that's what gets you far.
Yes.
Because you will still learn, you will still grow, you'll still get better, and you will eventually shine if you just keep being committed to yourself.
Yeah, I love that.
So that's sort of what the sort of what the show was about. Because
I think that's what we all need right now. I think we're in a time in this world, in this country, where I think we could all use that, whether you're a performer or not, just as a life philosophy, Well,
100%.
Julie Garnye, An Evening with Julie Garnye, coming up Thursday, August 25th, 7 p.m. at CV Rep. You can get tickets at cvrep.org. Thank you so much for being on the show. Lovely to chat with you. And by the way, I'm coming to see your show with a friend of mine, so I'm looking forward to it.
I can't wait to see you. That's going to be great. Thank you so much.
Well, break a leg, have a wonderful show, and thanks for being here today. Really, really appreciate it.
Thank you kindly. Have a wonderful day.
You too. All right, and then everybody else, we'll see you the next time on The Desert Scene.